Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sam here. We're continuing on with the Criterion Collection review series, and today we're going to be talking about one of my earliest Criterions. This was definitely one of the first 10 I probably received, and the only reason I ever got it was because it was one, Edgar Wright has always cited it as one of his favorite movies. And so, of course, I had to get it, being a huge Edgar Wright fan, and that is the 1960 French horror film Eyes Without a Face, which has one of my favorite covers from Criterion and one of my favorite colored aesthetic choices of any of their releases. So Eyes Without a Face tells the story of this doctor, this surgeon, who is trying to perfect this new surgery technique of taking the skin off of one person's face and then grafting it onto another person's face, so essentially face removal and giving someone a new face. And while the technology and the procedure is very limited and very early on, we soon find out that the reason he's so passionate about this new surgery is because he's trying to give a new face to his daughter, who he caused her own face disfigurement by forcing her to be in a car accident when he was driving, wrecking the car and causing irreparable damage to her face, to the point where she now has to wear a mask so people don't see her horrible disfigurement. And from there you see his methods, where he has he sort of has this assistant who is another woman that he successfully repaired her face, but it was a smaller injury, so it wasn't as much of a process. But she goes around and essentially kidnaps young women who have similar faces and eyes and hair to the surgeon's daughter, and they kidnap them, knock them out, and try to surgically remove their faces and try to make it work. So the plot itself is very simple, as are the characters, but the complexity of the movie is found in its theming and its visuals. And so right off the bat, I have to say the visual style of the film, the atmosphere, the tone, is very striking and very, very well done. A lot of the film takes place at night, or there's a lot of, it's a black and white film, but they're like specifically, black clothes, black cars. There's a lot of scenes in the graveyard, just a lot of fog, a lot of rain. It's very mysterious, it's very moody. I feel like it's one of those films that's perfect to watch at Halloween, just because of the sort of ominous mood that it sets. It's a very beautiful looking film, and it really sort of ties this feeling of dread throughout the whole thing. That is also carried on into the interior locations, which are hospitals, extravagantly or lavish homes, but with the mirrors painted in black so people can't look at them, or specifically Christine, the titular person with eyes without a face, where she can't look in the mirror and look at herself, and then also the underground surgery room, and then he also has like an army of dogs locked in cages so he can experiment on them and perform surgery on them. It's all just visually striking, and the mask itself is the image of Christine underneath the mask is very, very striking, where it's this white mask where the lips are parted just enough where if she talks it moves, but she has these bright, like Anne Hathaway type eyes that are just, that are shown so purely between the eye holes, like as seen here on the cover. And it's a very striking and unnerving image, and I think that's what Eyes Without a Face does so well, is it unnerves and disturbs with its imagery, where the film was famous for being very violent and gory and having a terrifying surgery scene, but the scene itself, in terms of like blood and gore, it's not too graphic, or like there's not like fountains of blood, there's not like any organs or anything insane like that. It's a very clinical procedure where the doctor is removing a woman's face, using multiple clamps to hold it up and cutting in with precision with the scalpel. And because it is so clinical, because it is so like unnerving and like precise, I don't know, that makes it very hard to watch. That makes it very difficult to sit down and really look at it. It's a very striking and iconic scene for obvious reasons. And I think that's what the movie does so well, is it just like understands that the real horror of the situation is in, you know, how crazy it is, and yet how seriously the film takes it and how plainly it shows everything. And so in that aspect, I love that part of Eyes Without a Face. I love it visually, I love its atmosphere, I love what it's going for. But in terms of everything else, I think the film doesn't quite click with me. I think the characters and the writing is very weak. According to the special features and a lot of people, there's a lot of complexity in the theming and in the way certain scenes are shot, and they describe it as very poetic, which I somewhat understand. I just think, I don't know, I never really latched on to anyone. I never really felt the need to sort of work with the film, right? I never felt the need to meet it halfway. And maybe after multiple viewings I'll get something more out of it, I'm not sure. But I feel like it's a movie that I wish it had stronger characters. I wish it had, specifically in Christine, I think Christine's so much of a blank slate. So much of her struggle is internalized and is somewhat shown visually, but I don't know if it's enough to really make it super engaging. I also feel like some of the side characters are very not useless, right? But there's like her former boyfriend, who is just sort of like an everyman. There's the police officers are a little bumbling. I don't know. I just feel like I'm afraid there isn't as much going on in this film as I would like, and a lot of it is very like interpretive and very like visual, which works in terms of like putting you in a mood, but I don't know if it works in terms of creating an engaging story and themes. And just for whatever reason, it doesn't quite work for me. It's a film that I admire and I enjoy watching, but I'm not impressed by it. It doesn't really impact me deeply. But clearly it works for a lot of people looking at the special features and at reviews I've seen online. So while I'm not head over heels for this movie, I do think this is a very solid release from Criterion. So one of the things it includes that I think is really cool is you're getting one of the director's early short films. The director's name is Georges Franjou, and this short documentary is called Blood of the Beast, which is a film that sort of depicts the cruelty towards animals in the meat industry, and how like it happens. It's sort of conveying how it happens just underneath our noses, like in vibrant, like in vibrant cities and full of life. There's horrible things happening to these animals, and so it juxtaposes images of children playing and people living their lives with horrible things happening to animals who are being killed and dismembered and gutted and everything. I will be honest, I could not get through it. So that imagery is way too strong for me. It does show the director's knack and interest in juxtaposition and in showing and in the horror of clinical murder and like matter-of-factly showing horrific events. It's a very great thing to include, and I think it's a very smart addition. There's a really great interview with the main actress of the film, Edith Scabb, that's really fascinating. There's this little like 5-minute interview with the director that I did for French television in the 80s, talking about his opinions on the horror genre and describing film. It's very interesting. It's very engaging. There's a great documentary where they include interviews with the writers of the film, who actually also wrote the script for Diabolique and for Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. That makes me think there might be something more going on with the film than I realized. But then also the booklet included in the film is very nice. It's two different essays about the film and about the production and its themes. And that's got me to appreciate the movie more, to get a better idea of what people see in it. And I think there's definitely, people see a lot of themes of searching for identity, about the patriarchy and how it affects women, and just, it seems people really love the mood and the atmosphere and the way the film conveys it, where it's not a lot of shock and awe, it's a lot of slow burn, lulling you into this world and into this mood. It's very interesting, and I think it's a movie that's like, would be really fun to put on in the background of a Halloween party, or just to sort of show to friends and let them sort of get a new experience in a way. So I don't regret having this Criterion. It's one that I do enjoy and happy that I own. It's just one that I wish I enjoyed more, but for whatever reason doesn't quite work for me. Either way, thank you all so much for watching. If you like the video, please like it. If you want more people to watch it, please share. Let me know in the comments what you think about Eyes Without a Face. Do you think it's a great film? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's a poetic statement on the patriarchy, or do you just think it's a schlocky French horror film? Also, please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, where next week we'll be returning once again to Kurosawa. We're going to be talking about Kagemusha, another one of his epic feudal Japan films, and I believe one of his first films in color. So very excited to be talking about that. But either way, hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.